Promised you another very special guest, and I'm honored and deeply appreciative of the opportunity to visit with somebody that has been in my life, whether she knew it or not, in the entirety of my life. We've got Cameron Grassle with us today. And Cameron, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
And if folks don't know from the name, and if you're not watching on a video, Karen played Ma Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie. And Karen, you've got the new book, Bright Lights, Prairie Dust. We're a week out from this being available. And how excited are you, and how nervous are you, I guess, for it to be in the hands of the readers?
So excited, so excited. I worked on this book for years and years and years. I had to peel a lot of layers to come to what the story really is. And I think this book represents it. And I am so thrilled that people want to read it, just thrilled. And so far, so many people are excited to read it. So, yeah. I have one here. Should I show it to your audience?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, hold on. Ta-da! It came, a box came while I was down in LA making the recording, and I was so excited to open it up.
What's it like to see the final product after going through, like you said, years of writing and battling with this, if you will?
It's wonderful. It's just wonderful. There it is. Yeah. So I did it.
Now, what was it that led to the initial idea of writing the book, and how did you have to be talked into it to maybe open it up a little bit?
Nobody was coming to me saying, "Why don't you write a memoir?" I was just living quietly, as I have done, and I moved up here to the San Francisco Bay Area. And I was semi-retired, just doing the occasional play or the occasional independent movie. And I just started to have this rush of memories. So I wanted to write those down. I didn't want to miss them, And then I got very interested. And I took a class, and then took another class. And then a group of us formed a writing group. And in that writing group, we helped each other and we encouraged each other. And that has been tremendous, because all on your own, you can think, is this anything, So it took a long time for me to figure out, is this a book? And if so, what is the point, And I think I did find what it is about. There are a lot of themes, but it's really my woman's story in a tough profession, having come from an alcoholic home and all the bruises and wounds that leaves, and the work that I had to do to come to myself. And while I could play Ma, it took much more work for Karen to come to herself.
And whenever you first came into the role of Ma, I mean, that's what you are endeared. That's what people love you for the role of Ma. It wasn't always an endearing role for you, was it?
Well, the first time that I read the script, I thought, oh, it seems like she's complaining, and maybe she's kind of negative, and he's so cute and plays the violin. And so I thought, I don't know about this. But, as soon as we went to work on it, I began to appreciate her. The very first day, we're leaving home. I'll probably never see my parents again. I've got 3 little girls. We're going into the wilderness with no idea of what we're going to find. And for sure, there could be hostile Native Americans. Carolyn was very frightened of that. And I began to understand her bravery and her journey. And off we went, you know.
Now, how long did it take you to feel comfortable in the role initially?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't really know, you know. I was learning everything so quickly, how to work on film, these different techniques that you need to know. I was learning my lines at night and falling asleep with the script in my hand, and the hours were long. So for me, I don't know about comfort. I mean, I was just making it each day, you know, get that work, get it in, get it done. And it was very encouraging when Mike liked my work and gave me positive feedback. So I guess it might have taken a whole season.
What did you learn most about yourself through the portrayal of Ma as well?
Did you read the book?
I have not yet.
Because that question is so fitting. Well, you know, I was an actress. I had been divorced. I didn't have a stable relationship. I didn't have financial security. And I thought those were things that were important before you have a child. So I had put it out of my mind that I can't have a child now and I'll worry about that later. But as I was working on Little House and the years were rolling by and Ma had early menopause, I was like, you know, my time could be passing here.
Mm.
And in the meantime, I was constantly reminded of mothering, constantly. So it came to me very deeply that I really, really wanted to be a mother. And I took this realization to an older, wiser friend. I had been up crying and crying in the night and waited until dawn, you know, to call her. And she said, come on over. And she fixed me a meatloaf sandwich. I said, well, now what's going on? And I told her, you know, I want to be a mother. And she said, well, great. Now we know what you want. Let's see what God wants. You know, because sometimes it's our will and it doesn't turn out to be the will of the powers that be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's meant a lot to me that I got to have a son. And in fact, he was here for dinner last night. And I have to tell you, he cooked the dinner. I was so tired yesterday. And he made a really nice dinner for me. And I felt, wow, I'm so lucky.
And during the process of the filming, what was maybe one of the hardest parts on you? I mean, being a stage actress as opposed to the screen. I mean, how much different? I mean, as a layperson, never been on a screen whatsoever. We always think that they're one and the same, but they're not even close, I'm sure.
Well, they're the same in that you have to find the truth inside of you. But how that truth comes out of you has to be different. Because if you're in a big theater, you've got to reach the back wall and you've got to convey through your body the emotion that you're having. But for me to be acting in this little frame like we're in right now, was the hardest thing. Feeling like I was in such a box. I was in this tiny box. And that everything had to happen within that. That was the biggest adjustment, because I loved the big physical stuff, you know, like later in the award, when I got to fight with the cow in the rain, you know, big physical stuff. That was fun for me. And then in a little box, and I felt like my elbows were pinned to my sides, and that was hard.
Now, what was maybe one of the biggest takeaways from your time working with Michael? We know he was pretty difficult to work with at times, a perfectionist. We've heard, wants things his way. How did you have to learn about working together with others, even in sometimes tense environments?
Well, he was a very, very complicated person, but a very, very gifted person. And he was definitely our leader, not only producing, starring, but also directing and writing a lot of the episodes. So there was no question about whose vision we were portraying. That was going to be Mike's. You know, there was no argument about that. However, there were times when he was very open to hearing my take on what Ma might do in a scene. Like there was a scene where Pa is away working. I think it was the one where he goes off and is doing the dynamite stuff. Very dangerous. And I think they had written that Ma is sitting by the fire worrying. And I was like, I don't think so. You know, so I talked to Mike. I said, you know, if this were my mother, she would be up, she would be scouring that house, everything would be clean, every closet, every bit of work would get her anxiety. And he said, that's great. So we did something like that.
And during the process of the show, what were the hard times? Was it the times between filming that was difficult emotionally for you?
The hard time for me was when they told me that after the first season, you renegotiate your contract based on the fact that it's a success. If it's a success, you'll renegotiate. It's taken for granted in Hollywood. So when my representative and I went to see Mike to talk about that, he didn't want to talk about it. And then a long, drawn out, painful process where he did not back me one bit. In fact, he tried to talk me out of even that I deserved it. And that hurt. But I'll tell you something, being on a TV series was not my dream. I was very glad to have the job. I knew it was a really good job, but it was not my dream come true. So if I was going to do it, I wanted to be paid fairly for it. And to this day, Cameron, I do not understand why this man was so opposed to paying a fair salary to his co-star. I don't get it, but that's the way it was. So that was a long, drawn out thing, you know, where I waited for phone calls and the network would go quiet, and it was really unpleasant. And then I would go to work and I wouldn't know what I was making or if we were going to settle it or what was going to happen. It was very unnerving. So that was the hardest thing, the hardest.
And then going on set in the midst of all of that, I mean, how amazed are you looking back that you made it through, and the listeners, the viewers were none the better for it, if you will?
Well, I'm very proud of the fact that it didn't show in my work. People would never know that there was this icy atmosphere, you know. I'm really, really proud of that. But for me, as an alcoholic, you can imagine the self-pity and the anger and resentment. So, boy, I drank a lot over that. And that helped me hit my bottom. No question about it.
And what was it that whenever you reached the bottom, what was it that was the light that made you realize, because we talked before we came on, we've both been through these moments, but what was the light for you?
A series of things happened, one on top of the other. One, we were shooting a show and I wanted to make a spread for the crew, a kind of a wrap party for the episode. And one of the things that I had at that lunch was some wine and soft drinks. And after we were supposed to go back to work, I was still thinking about that wine bottle. I was like, shake it off, shake it off. Now, and I went outdoors, I breathed some air, I went to the bathroom, I took some mouthwash, I did everything I could, and my mind was still over there in that wine bottle. Oh, Jesus. Well, then I had this trip immediately afterwards, so I didn't think about it. And on the trip, I was to give a talk in front of a large group of women that I respected. And they were a little late coming. So, you know, I had to have a little wine before. And then a little more because they were still not there. And then a little more so that when I gave my talk, I went on and on and on. And then I realized it and I was so embarrassed. I thought, I just can't bear it that I did this. And I sat down in my seat, my face, I felt like it was red hot. I was really embarrassed. So then, of course, I got on a plane and drank some more and went to see my dearest, oldest friend in the world. She and I had known each other since we were 7 years old.
Wow.
And we had plenty of drinks together too. And grass. So she met me at the airport, took me out to her little cabin in Minneapolis, and told me I had a drinking problem. Well, I knew she knew. She knew me. I couldn't argue with her. But I told her I can't go to those self-help programs. I can't do that. So we kind of left it there, but she had made an important impression on me. And I guess it was about 1 week later that I had to do it one more time and come home crying and fight with a friend and all of that, pass out in my bed. And when I woke up in the morning with another horrible hangover, I said, I must never drink again, no matter what happens. And I thought that if I made a decision like that, that it would mean I couldn't go to a nice restaurant. It would even mean I couldn't have Mexican food because I wouldn't be able to drink a beer with it.
Right.
I mean, I had these ideas about how alcohol was laced into my life. But I said, whatever. If my boyfriend leaves me, whatever. If I lose my job, whatever. I can't drink. And like you, that was it. It was a miracle. Many times I had tried to quit for a week or so, and I never made it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, what was the driving force keeping you sober? Was it not wanting to go down those roads again? What was your sober story?
Hmm. Well, God kept me from going down those roads again. But I was scared to death to drink again. You know, I had always tried to argue with the rules, make an exception of myself. I was full of opinions about everything. And now I just wanted to walk the straight and narrow. I was humbled. I I was like, I don't have the best ideas. Let me see what other people can teach me about this. I was even afraid to park illegally. I was afraid, what if I park illegally, maybe I'll drink. You know, I was scared to drink again. So I would say fear was a big part of it.
And what doors did the sobriety open for you personally?
Well, it's a different kind of honesty. You know, I always had this kind of honesty where, oh, I paid my bills and my taxes and all that. And I love to be honest about you and tell you about what you were thinking or doing. But taking full responsibility for me, that took some insight. And it took being sober to get the insight. You know, I did a lot of writing, a lot of writing about my life, about my feelings, a lot of praying. I had a lot to learn. And that's part of what this book is the journey of someone who had a lot to learn and wanted to learn it. You know, because it's not all about sobriety. I mean, I was wanting to learn about life from the time I was little. And by the time I was a young actress in New York, I was reaching out for Jungian analysis. I was reaching out to find out, you know, how you live. How do you make sense of it all? And I suffered from depression. So I had a lot of work to do around that. Yeah. Well, it's been busy, you know.
Yeah, I know, right? Now, how were you able to hide the depression from others? Or were you maybe hiding that more from yourself?
I wish that I could have hidden it a little better than I did. I think sometimes I was rather morose, blue, you know, she's got the blues,
Hmm.
sort of heavy. I didn't mean to be a drag, but um, I could be. And, you know, the other thing is, you know, I got this smile. That smile hides a lot of stuff if you want it to.
How the smile is always a good one to put on, isn't it? Now, the book, like we said, is going to be available next Tuesday. Bright Lights, Prairie Dust, and what is your overall thought of the completed project? And are you going to sleep any between now and next Tuesday? Are you just so excited?
I'm very, very excited. And I'm going to talk to a lot of people about the book because I want people to read it. I think that it has value, even if I say that about something that I wrote. A lot of work has gone into it. I've had a lot of people help me with notes, and I've done a lot of revising to make it the best I could be at this time in my life. And I think it's worthwhile.
That's good. That's what we would hope for, right?
Yeah. And I
Well,
think there are lessons in it.
mhm.
I think there are lessons about taking responsibility for yourself and being honest with yourself, and about faith, and about going for your dream, and about uh, making the effort even when things are very, very hard.
That yeah, that's one that I still battle with, is when you go through the frustrations, and especially small market radio and podcast guys, you have your ups and your downs, and you're like, am I really wasting my time today? But keep battling every day.
Well, it's always so hard to know, am I supposed to battle or am I supposed to give up? But we just have to keep on until we know.
Mm. Mm, that's right. Well, Karen, it has been a huge honor for me to have the chance to visit with you today. I always save and read the books after the interview because I don't want to spoil anything before we visit. So
Oh,
I'm looking forward to spending time with the book, and hopefully we can catch up again, maybe on a future project, or just to catch back up again.
that would be great. And thank you so much for having me and letting me talk with your audience.